It is, we are going to talk about the competition today, but we're going to talk about a lot of other aspects. This is about bartending. This is about what we do as a profession. There just happens to be a competition tied in as part of the world-class program. That is a really spectacular competition, but some of you may compete, some of you may not. It doesn't matter. This is us all getting together to sit down, to talk shop, to sip some spirits, to get behind the bar and do a little work is really what the bigger picture of this whole program is about. So we've been doing these world-class studios for several years. We do 20 to 30 cities a year, and we break up into teams and do this. And it really is, the educational portion of this really is reflective of the world-class competition. And when what James said, it being a bartending competition, not a cocktail competition, that is the key. Because whether you decide to compete or not, hopefully at the end of the day, we get the wheels turning, we get some useful information, we all learn a little bit from one another today, and we get back behind the bar with just even a little bit more energy, a little bit more drive, and just tighten up a little bit more as we should. We're always all striving. Like, this is an amazing turnout. We really do thank you all for from coming from all parts of the city to join us this morning. It is no small feat to get this many bartenders together at 10 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of the week, right after the weekend. Some of you may have had Bartender Friday last night, so we even appreciate it more that you've come out after your industry night potentially off. But we're going to get in. We are going to today, after lunch, we'll actually talk a little bit about the competition itself. But otherwise, what we're talking about, again, it is bartending. I got involved with the world-class program in 2014 when I competed, and at that point, I had all but stopped doing competitions. It really wasn't of interest to me at that stage of my career. But when I had seen what had gone on in the years prior to me with Ricky Gomez, Jeff Bell, who had represented nationally, I saw the videos from the Globals and what everyone was doing. I realized that there was a much bigger picture wrapped around this. It wasn't about going and being judged on liquid in a glass. This program, 55 people went to the Globals representing their respective countries last year, but literally tens of thousands of bartenders were engaged in educational platforms and things. The stuff that we present is fully based off of the reviews and responses from y'all. We will be emailing you all feedback forms, which we would really, really appreciate you filling out and shooting back to us for each of the sessions, just so we can get better. And so next year when we start to plan these world-class studios, we literally got on the road 2 weeks after the Globals. We were more or less like, getting this all finalized and jumping right back into it. So there really is no break. But we listen to the bartenders. We've had a lot of talks over the years, and rightfully so, about hospitality and things like that behind the bar. If you've seen some of the other studios that we've done, we've gotten into guest service and presentation of cocktails and things like that. That's not what we're going to be talking about today. This is an opportunity to get 40 bartenders in a room together and do what we don't do when we're behind the bar. It's not the time necessarily to overly geek out with your guests, to start talking about the origins of gin and or whatever it might be, or how we make bitters, or whatever awesome stuff that you do to make your menus great. We make our drinks, we throw a party, we show our guests a good time. But this is an opportunity where we can geek out in a room full of very different experiences. And so Tyson and I both ask you that this be as interactive as possible. Please chime in. We're definitely going to be tasting through all the spirits in front of you. Those are just to loosen you up, and so we're not as quiet as we were early in the morning, just to kind of get the juices flowing a little bit. But please make this a conversation, because we all have something to learn from one another here. We've all worked in different types of bars. We all come from different places, and it's just a fact of life. If we think we've stopped learning, then we probably, I don't know, go back to school. I'd go back to school and be a vet or something. I don't know, but I'm still having a very, very good time in this industry, and I look forward to having that conversation with you all today.
Yeah, absolutely. So like Charles said, we're going to kind of break this down. We're really going to talk about tasting and what's in the glass today, and how we can use that to better ourselves behind the bar. we're going to talk about cocktails, right? Like that's what we're all here for. We all make drinks every day, and so we're going to talk about how we can break these spirits down and utilize them better in drinks. So we're going to go through and taste. And again, I just kind of echo what Charles said. Like this is not about him and I telling you guys what's in those glasses or how these things are made necessarily. We want you guys to have this conversation with us. We learn from everyone every single time we sit down in these rooms and we taste. And that's the only way we all get better is to listen to each other. Everyone has very different tastes. And so that's how we get better, is we all talk. And so we really want you guys to be a part of this as much as we are speaking. So,
cool, thanks. Just a couple quick things. Don't mind this TV. But we've got just the USBG has been an awesome partner with us. I'm not sure how many people are part of the guild here in New York. Awesome, so quite a few people. I've been involved with the Bartenders Guild for the last, I think last year was my 10th year anniversary. I was the VP in Chicago at one point. I really appreciate the volunteer board and people that handle that. Those are not paid positions in the local chapters. It is a lot of work. I stepped back when I did several years ago because I simply couldn't give it the attention that it deserved. And there are a lot of people working behind it. We've now got 55 chapters around the country, so multiple states that are larger markets have multiple chapters. We've got a huge group of members. There is a national council that works full time on it. And it just doesn't help to promote and do things like this. We obviously get out and do a lot of charitable things. It is, get involved with your chapter as much as you can. Push your elected officials and, give them suggestions to do things that you want to see enacted, because the national board really leaves it to each of the state or city chapters to do. And there's some that you see that are incredibly active and have just a really great group of people. And, it is what you make of it. But fantastic organization, and they've been great partners with us. We often have combined our regional competitions with the regional conferences where all of the chapter heads get together and kind of talk shop and kind of figure out how they can improve and bring things back to your respective cities. So great partners there. Boom. We've talked about the agenda a little bit already. If you want to get on online, or if you're doing any tags or anything like that, this is all of the social fun that you can get involved with, hashtags and tweets and all sorts of ats and things like that you're all well familiar with. But yeah, please do share it with people. Hopefully we will make your morning worthwhile and people want to do that. So getting on into what we do have sitting in front of us, we are going to talk about taste. How many people caught the studios last year? Did anybody do it? A handful of people? We took a really deep dive into some very specific and seemingly esoteric aspects of what we do when it comes to cocktail creations, looking at each of the five senses, how that impacts our guests, how literally the liquid in the glass, looking at it from the aspect of each of the five senses to the guest experience, from the second that they step out of their lift at the curb and walk up to your door, that anticipation, and as that builds. Today we're really going to talk about the liquid in the glass. I think there's several takeaways that we'd love for you to come with after this first session. One, get the wheels turning, start to continually improve our palates. This is, when it comes down to, at the end of the day, while we are hosts of a party every night, the medium by which we create our craft is cocktails at the end of the day, and so we want to create the best cocktails that we can. We all are going to have different ways that we get inspired to make our drinks. I know if you've been behind the bar a long time, you might get kind of writer's block on your cocktails or something, or whatever it might be. You might be searching for that next flavor combination or that next launch pad. And by really developing our palates, by really understanding why we grab that spirit out of the rail, why we grab that specific spirit out of the rail, and the different ways that we can start to build some flavor bridges by what we find inside that spirit, what it is that we want to bring forward or push back in that, whatever flavor combinations we want to create, we start to make more intelligent decisions, more thoughtful decisions, more intentional decisions. In addition to that, again, as I said, our palates are, this is the best tool that we have. It is something we should constantly be tasting. We have a lot of pressure on us. It's a very fast-paced job. We've got menu changes, we've got events going on. You might be doing scheduling or inventory. I know as I got behind the bar. As you move up the ranks in the bar, you often end up doing less of what you love, which is being maybe behind the stick and working with the guests, and you end up doing a lot more back of house, which helped me shift my career more and be like, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to be actually engaging with people. And so with that, we often can neglect what once you get your palate to a certain level, you're comfortable, you can bang out recipes, you know that when you're behind the bar, somebody can call a dealer's choice, you can easily come up with something, but it is something that is a lifelong tuning and rehashing. Our palates change from day to day, they change as we age. I got in late last night, and I just grabbed a late bite, and I had just a bullet rye on the rocks with the little food I was having, and I don't know what it was, but maybe it was just getting off a plane or the fact, the humidity, who the hell knows, but it tasted just crazy to me. I was like, I took like 3 sips, and I was like, what is going on with this? I'm like, am I getting a cold? Like, it just, you'll taste different now than if you tasted the same spirit and took notes at 6 p.m. tonight, let alone weeks and days apart. And so it is something that I'm sure you've all experienced it as you have been in the industry over time. It improves. It's like anything. It's like learning a language. It's like learning an instrument. The more you practice it, the better you get. And there is no better way to practice and hone this skill than with a group of people, especially a group of people that get together that you don't work with day in and day out. Because yes, you taste with your staffs. It's always better to taste with a group. You can taste by yourself, but there's something about, I think tasting is all about really building a vocabulary. If we all pick up a glass, we all put our noses in it, we all take a sip of it, we're all tasting some of the same things. We might process them a little bit differently, but becoming a great taster is really just forming that vocabulary and being able to translate what it is that we're tasting, what it is that we're smelling to guests, to be able to write it down on paper and then be able to use those inspirations to make the right cocktails.
Yeah, and kind of just real quick, everyone's got a sheet in front of them. Some of you may recognize this if you've been a part of like Bar Smarts or Bar 5 Day, but this is a tasting grid. And really what a great part about this is exactly what Charles is talking about. It's about building that vocabulary. Great tasters, some people can taste better, some people can smell better, some people have different ways to taste, maybe better than others, but really what great tasters have is an incredible vocabulary to be able to tell you what they're tasting. And that comes through experience, and this is a really great way to kind of give you some things to think about as you taste and as you smell, because that is how we get better. It's the talking about it, it's listening to how other people use words to describe things, so that you can come back to that when you do have the guest that sits down and says, I'd love to have a drink with BUHLER rye. You can kind of go back to that memory bank where you have all these different words, all these different tastes and flavors that you can reach back into and to build a cocktail surrounding that. So it's a really nice tool for you guys to have as we taste today. Go ahead and mark it up, talk about it, think about it, but it's something for you guys.
Yeah, having some of these and there's a million different flavor wheels that you can pull off the internet. This is just one, but it kind of helps with that, where you've tasted a spirit and you wrote down 5 tasting notes and you get kind of stuck and you're like, I haven't even looked at spice characteristics or herbal characteristics or fruit characteristics or wood or aging, whatever it might be. So it can help just to kind of be that launch pad. So when we get into this, if you saw last year, this is something that we talked about in depth, but we're not going to get too deep into this now because we covered it. But I do, the mechanics of how we taste is a very, very interesting bit of the science to look at because this is our primary tool. It is what's going on our tongue and what's going on in our nose, without even talking about texture and temperature and the glass and the piece of ice and the way that something looks, or any of these other multitude of attributes that affect how we enjoy a cocktail when it's handed to us, or a plate of food, or any experience in life. Really, it really comes down to the business is in the mouth and is in the nose. So we're going to be doing some tasting today, and we can even take our first glass as we talk about this a little bit to help demonstrate it, and then we'll actually dive in and start with that glass. But